Well, I'll tell you what, it was a quiet deadline day for everybody. I mean, I didn't think you were ever optimistic. So you just go with what you go with, don't you?
Yeah, the only challenge we've had ongoing injury list, and unfortunately that's struck again somewhat. But other than that, I've always felt the squad when it is fit is at least I always describe it as competitive, both in house and with the games that we play. We were trying to add to it if we could. The usual stuff comes around. It's the finance odd market, which you've all seen by one of the lowest markets in years. So it's not just us, by the way. There's plenty of people wondering. So yeah, we work with what we got, as we have done many times before, and I believe in what we've got. So that's not really a major issue. It's just the fitness side of things. We need to get players fit, because every time we do, we lose a couple more.
You would have wanted numbers and qualities. Were you close to anything at all?
No, not really close. No, just long shots really.
And in terms of the next window, I guess that becomes more important. It struck me yesterday that people will start doing their business in the summer if things continue like they do economically at the moment.
Well, I think everyone's waiting to see how this pans out for many different reasons. I mean, we're just talking about the world of football, obviously, but I think that the greater good of what's going on everywhere, and that'll have a knock-on effect, obviously, with hopefully at some point people staying fit and well, of course, and then coming back into stadiums, and then different revenue streams for clubs of all different kinds. I mean, here it's not as powerful as some clubs. Our revenue from fans, if you like, is considerably less than many other clubs, but it still is a revenue stream that's helpful. And obviously, we thank everyone for doing that, all the fans that do pay to come into the stadium. So I think it could change how the market operates this summer. And the world, in theory, hopefully, if all goes to plan, could be a slightly better version, and open. So therefore, I think free-minded, or a bit more free-minded about what the market may present to us. So we'll have to wait and see on that.
But I imagine one of the positives of the window was getting 4 players back on longer-term contracts.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said that, a lot of people talk about what's going on outside, and rightly so at times, but the fact is you've still got to make sure that you're looking after yourself inside of your group, and, we're trying to do that. So still ongoing conversations about others, but there's a number of players have agreed to stay, and we take great value in what they give us and what they will give us going forwards.
And fitness-wise, you were kind of missing 4 or 5 at the weekend, or suddenly it became that kind of number. Anything positive in terms of Manchester City this weekend?
Not overly. We've still got a couple of touch and goes, but the decisions are being almost taken out of the players' hands at the time. We're having to make decisions as a staff because players are always desperate to play, but we've got to make sure, or try and do our best to make sure, because we keep getting people fit and then they get re-injured or other people have got injured. So Charlie Taylor still be a touch and go decision, as well Ashley Barnes. We've got to consider things. Woody obviously came off the other day. We're still finding out the depth of that, but obviously stands to reason unlikely. Robbie Brady's still struggling a bit with an Achilles, so possible but unlikely. We're just having that spell where we get people fit and then we get others injured, and it's tough on the group. It's Josh Brownhill's another one. Don't get me wrong, his is more straightforward. His is just a pain issue, which is not ideal because it's on the top of his foot. But no fracture or anything sinister, just time really. But these are important players to us, so we'll see how it works out this week. I don't think any are major ones necessarily. We wait on a bit more news on Robbie and Woody, but at this stage, we're thinking we'll settle down. But obviously, with another 3-game week, it's hard to think that they're going to make them games. So we'll just have to wait and see.
And after watching kind of Chelsea click in that second half, because I think you held them quite nice in the first half, do you kind of think, here we go again with Man City coming to town?
Well, I think similar but different. I mention all the time, and when we're really on top of our performance, we can challenge in different ways, even against the big clubs and the big sides. We came away from it a little bit second half, but I did credit Chelsea. I thought they were excellent second half, and when these teams really turn up, both individually and collectively, we know there's a big gap in the Premier League. Everyone knows that. So you're looking for a little, a time when the team that you're playing is slightly off, slightly softer. You're giving a very good performance, which was, I thought, a fair view of the game at Liverpool. I thought they were slightly off, not quite purring, not quite ticking, and we gave a very good performance. Nicked a really important win, and a very good one for different reasons. And then Chelsea, I thought first half, we weren't far off. We've got to tidy up the details in the front third particularly, and some of our, when we can keep the ball and play. But generally, it was a good half. But second half, they turned up. They were far too strong, gave a very good performance and went out worthy winners. Against Man City, it's a similar scenario against a lot of these teams. If they really do turn up and play to their max, then it's a very tough day, because it's hard to beat these teams. On the other hand, when they have a quiet day or a few off, or maybe they've had injuries of their own, which not so much now, Man City, but they have done in the past, and that's even affected their group. So, I think we're always open-minded about these challenges, about these top teams, but equally aware that it would be helpful to have full hit, full strength. Amongst that, I will say, I know what the team is, obviously, and it's still a team that I definitely know can be competitive. So I think that's an important marker for us to be competitive.
You often talk about finding a way and finding solutions. I'm just wondering how impressed you've been with Pep. I mean, I know the resources are very different, but he's got the form team in the Premier League without a centre forward.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever suffered from goals though from everywhere else. Some teams rely heavily, as we have done in the past, and lots of other clubs, in their striking options. I think Man City have players across the team who at times can score goals. They've shown that, and certainly get players into key areas and score goals. No, there's no two ways about it. I mean, early season they were suggesting, are they going to be there? And I think I will recall, actually, I said, without a doubt they'll be there. So it's no surprise to me, that they keep finding big wins in the way they perform. Top group of players, top manager. It's simple. That's not rocket science, but they've still got to perform. They know that. That's the other thing. There's no naivety in these teams either. They know they've got to perform every week against whoever they play, and well, more than every week at the moment. 3 times a week. So they know that, and they're well versed in it.
Do you admire the hunger they have, though, bearing in mind they've achieved so much, and as I said, the resources are very different, but they seem to be hungrier than they've ever been in the last sort of 10
No,
games.
I don't admire hunger in anyone. That's part of being a professional footballer. If you haven't got hunger and desire as a professional footballer, you're probably not going to do that great, to be honest. So I don't think that's something that I admire the technical ability and the will and drive to keep going. But no, you've got to have hunger to be a professional footballer. That should be a given. Hunger and hard work for me, they should be absolute givens. So, and I think they've got both, mind you. So have we. There's just sometimes there's a big gap in the resources, which in turn makes a gap in the quality and particularly the front third idea. And I think that's just a reality of the market. We're used to that. We're used to all these challenges, and we know they come thick and fast. We know they're tough. Every game's tough, by the way. We always talk about not always, but we often talk about the big clubs and how powerful they are. But every game in the Premier League is a tough game, home and away. So we're open-minded about the next challenge and what goes on beyond them. But the next one will come quickly, which is tomorrow.
I just want to ask you just very quickly about the government summit on dementia. They're trying to get people together and talk about it, and it's quite, obviously a big issue. I know Dean Smith talked about it this morning and his fears for himself, bearing in mind he was a defender and headed the ball as much as some of you guys did during the 1980s, 1990s and 2000s. So, something needs to be done, doesn't it?
I think it's a really tough one. It's a professional sport at the end of the day. I've mentioned many times, for me, the most logical step is, at a young age, teach the players how to head the ball properly with sponge balls, with light balls, so they're technically got a much better chance of heading the ball properly. As they get older and their body forms more, then of course you can, I don't know the science behind weights of balls and stuff, but you can add in the idea of that. But it's still, the game isn't going to change that much. For all everyone talks about passing on the floor and the game being on the floor, I can assure you, look how many headed goals there are, look how many headed incidents there are, look how many times the ball's in the air. So I don't think you can change that. I think it's right and proper to make sure the scientists are looking into everything, but that's right and proper in any sport, for whatever situation it is. So that's absolutely right and proper. I just don't know where the line is, where it's still a part of the game. I can't see it changing. I don't think it'll go out the game. I think players get the thrill of scoring a headed goal. I think fans get the thrill of scoring a headed goal. We had one with Chris Wood last week, which was fantastic and marvelled upon, So there is that. It's just how you do it in a way that is going to be safe. I don't worry personally. I had my career. I put my lot into it. That was part of the game. We didn't know what we know now. We didn't have the scientists looking into these things. So I don't personally worry about my future. That's the way it goes. Whatever will be, will be. But I do understand why they're now saying, right, can we get a grip on this? Can we find and add the science into it to hopefully have a brighter future as regards, head injuries or head complaints in the future and dementia and the like. So of course, I'm all for that. I just think it's hard to find the right side of it, other than, in my view, a commonsensical view, which is teach the kids to head it properly through technical ability and do it with sponge balls, do it with things that are not going to damage them, or almost, I'm sure there's a scientist out there who can prove that a sponge ball won't damage your head at a young age. And then as they form and get older, equally, I presume there's scientists especially out there can kind of give you a guideline on when the brain is more formed and therefore the weight of the ball can change, for example. But I don't know all the details behind that. It's just a logical theory to me.
But just in keeping with that, one of the theories is that, at elite level, you do training with less heading of the ball. Is that unworkable?
I don't think it's a strange thing, to be honest, because I think people presuppose you're doing like 100 headers a day. You're not. People talk about our style of players if we're heading it all the time. We don't. In training, we do very minimal heading, absolutely minimal heading. And if anything, it'd be a crossing and finishing session. Very rarely do we have defenders kind of knocking balls at them and they're heading them away. Most of the players at this age have formed the way of working. That's why I think it's important the younger ages. I think this age, they should be able, if you're a Premier League footballer, you should be able to understand the technical side of heading a football. So therefore, my point is you shouldn't need to do 100 headers a day. It should be mostly the games that allow you to deliver that. I can only speak for ourselves, but we certainly don't do endless amounts of heading in training. So, like I say, I don't know. There'll be a scientist to tell you how many times you should or you shouldn't. I don't know what that is, and if there's any guidelines laid down, then we'll work with them as we always do.
Thanks, Sean. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you, James. Emma Saunders, PLP. Hello.
Hey, Sean.
Hiya.
First up, Nick Pope. January was a brilliant month for him. I think he had the most saves of any goalkeeper in the Premier League. Having missed him last time out against Man City, just how pleased are you to have him at this time round, and how much of a big performance do you need from him with the attacking threat that they have?
Pope's proven himself once again. He doesn't have to prove anything to us. We know he's a top keeper, but I think he's been continually more recognised outside of what we know of him. I think his performance has been very good. I think a lot of what he does, he's slightly over-egged. It's his job. People sometimes forget that, and he knows how to do it. And some of his saves he's made, he would expect to make. But I do also believe he's made some outstanding saves, in the last period of games. So, I know what he's about. I think it's always helpful to have your best players playing well, and I think he's earning the right to be, recognised as he is getting them.
And just one more from me on Man City. I mean, this unbeaten run in the Premier League, it did start with their victory over you back in November. You've reflected on it a little bit and said you're not too surprised by their ascendancy up the table, but just how unstoppable do you think they look, particularly compared to the previous title-winning side that stormed the league that year?
Well, I think it's yet to be seen, over a season. That was a season's work. I think they're a top side. I think no one's ever doubted that. I don't really, like all teams, there is a form of stopping them. It's just if you can. It's, no team's flawless. There's always a way, but it's finding that way. And they've done a very good job of dismantling teams, including teams that are, better than us. On the other hand, we at home have kept the games really tight against these. Now, I think you have to do that anyway. We haven't done away, quite obviously, but at home we often have. So, to give ourselves a foothold in the game, we're going to have to defend properly. You often do. There's awareness, not an acceptance, just an awareness, a statistical awareness that they have the ball more and they work with the ball more. So you've got to do the work outside of having the ball, and I think you've got to do that well against these sides. Not just Man City, to be fair, against a lot of the top sides. So I think, again, we try and make the game about us as much as we can, but a strong awareness of them. And if they turn up and play very well, it's very difficult. If we can keep them a little bit quieter, bring our own game to them, then who knows? That's when things change, as it did against Liverpool recently. But we're never shy on telling the players the truth. We know these are a top class side, and we have to be absolutely at our best to get something from the game.
All right, thanks, Sean. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Anna. Down, Jewel.
Afternoon.
Come on, Beardy. What's happening? Look at that
I'm all
forehead. I'm almost, I'm admiring it now. I've got to the point I just admire that for it. I think the lighting is magnificent to give it like that kind of yellow jaundice glow. Really nice. Really enjoy it.
I'm looking as healthy as ever, clearly.
Like myself, the deep tan that I carry to make me look even more healthy.
Yeah, we're very similar in that respect.
We are very similar in that respect.
This light bulb might actually require me to have suntan cream on. Anyway, you referenced Liverpool there. I know your players have a lot of belief in themselves and their ability, but is it good to have had it reinforced that if you do all of those things, you can beat the team who are currently champions and therefore, in theory, all of the teams in the Premier League?
Well, for one, you said do, which is a bit bizarre. And for two, I think the idea of playing Liverpool is a different outfit, a different time as well. You know, there was a few question marks. Had a little tough period by their standards of performances. Man City are slightly different. They're on a real good run of performances, which they often are, it must be said. No, I think look, we reference the truth of the market we're in. We know the teams that are, you know, in that superpowered group who on any given day when they turn up are very difficult to handle. Equally, I think there is that bit of freedom that comes with these games in the sense that, you know, no expectation is on us like we went to Liverpool. No one really expected us to get anything there. They expect the other team, that being in this case Man City, to turn up and roll teams over very comfortably. So, you know, our job is to use that. It doesn't win you a game, by the way, but it just, you know, you want your players to find that kind of openness to their performance, open-mindedness, to their performance. And like I say, it doesn't guarantee you anything, but sometimes it just gives you that little edge that's sometimes helpful when you're playing these top sides.
Having already played City home and in the Cup and away in the league, can you learn anything new, or do you know exactly what to expect?
No, I think like it's one of the things with teams like Man City, when you ask about learning something new, they've been doing what they do for a long time. Now, they'll be looking internally, the details, like we all do as managers. You know, people talk about our style, we've been doing that a long time. But trust me, we added bits of detail, what we think's important. And I'm sure Pep and his group do too. But they generally are going to keep doing what they're doing. And, you know, for the right reasons. I mean, since Pep's first season, when he tinkered with the team a lot and changed the personnel and the shape, if you look since then, he's not changed it anywhere near as much and been very successful, you know, and played slightly less rotation. I don't know all the facts on that, but it seems to me slightly less rotation of players, definitely less rotation of shapes and the way the team operate. And therefore, they've got a format that suits them. And it quite obviously does suit them, make no mistake, because they've got good players in the key slots and they know how to play. So it always makes for a tough ask when you're playing these sides.
I'm sure there'll be lots made of contrasts in style. Does that bother you anymore? Have you heard it a million times?
No, it didn't really bother me at the beginning of my journey here. You know, the successes in football are what count for me. If you can find a way that's very stylish, that's fantastic. If you can't, you've still got to find a way of winning. You know, people sometimes forget that. The modern viewpoint sometimes, not always, can be almost like the way you play is more important than winning. Trust me, it will never be more important than winning, because if you don't win enough, you're not in the Premier League. Simple as that. And our job is to be in the Premier League. So I've always stayed focused on that. I was as a player, as a manager. I think we play a way that suits our group. It's a way that the group can be productive. They gain out of it. The club gain out of it quite clearly. And we like the fact, you know, we attempt. It's not easy to do things differently sometimes. You know, we want to do things differently. We don't want to be a group that's just the same as everyone else. We want to try and do things differently to affect teams and to affect games and to try and win games. So, you know, I've kind of lost the idea of, you know, who thinks what an opinion many moons ago. You know, at the end of the day, I know how I work with my staff. I know how the group work here. I take great value in what they do and great pride in what they do. And when we can play, we do, and we can find ways of being effective. And if we have to fight and we have to run and we have to harry and we have to do all the ugly stuff, then we have to do that. And that's the way I look at it. It's effective when we're on the right run of performances. And if we're not, we learn from it and we move forwards.
And do you think that kind of getting used to playing these top sides over so many years of being in the Premier League shows just how far you've come? Because even just anecdotally, the number of people asking you questions today, a few seasons ago, there would have been a lot more, because it would have been seen as perhaps a lot more of a novelty for Burnley to play Man City.
Yeah, I think that comes with years in the Premier League, though. You know, we're on 6 out of 7. I think that's right. So, you know, that eventually, whatever people question or think of these games, there's a slow kind of respect that builds when you're a club like Burnley, the size of it, and you're in the Premier League still. I think there's like an underbelly of, you know, just professional respect as much as anything. You can't keep doing that by default. You've got to be doing something to be in the Premier League. And I think maybe a little bit more interest when you've just beaten Liverpool, you know, 4 years of not losing, etc., etc. A little bit more interest comes from that, because people, you know, they just have that wonder where they think, well, I wonder if they could do it again against a team like Man City. Didn't manage to do it at Chelsea for a half. I thought we were good, but the game lasts 95 minutes, so you've got to do it for all of them. Against Man City, maybe there's a few that are wondering, so we'll see.
Thank you very much. Has anybody ever told you look just like Mick Hucknall?
It's uncanny you say that. Apparently I look very much like Chris Evans too. I mean, I can't see it, personally speaking, I can't see it, but apparently I do, so it's a fair point that you make. Thank you very much for reminding everyone of that clear fact that I obviously do look like Mick Hucknall. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan. I've no idea where these press conferences are going anymore. No idea.
They're brilliant because they're less boring. It's like lockdown's really hard for everyone. It's really boring for everyone. So we're just having a natter and just trying to show a bit of humanity in the world. You know what I mean? We are human. And boring questions, they bat them off. You ask me a silly question, I give a silly answer, and we might as well just not bore everyone to death. So thank you,
We've sunk
Beardy,
to,
for bringing that
we've
light-hearted
sunk to
moment
lucky
to
like
this
he's now.
situation.
We've
What?
sunk to lucky like he's.
Like, for some reason. No, we're not. Yeah, we're raising ourselves to lucky likeys. Lucky likeys make the world go. Have you never sat in a pub? Well, although that seems like a distant memory, where your mates and just found lucky likeys in the pub. It's one of the best bits of fun you'll ever have in a night. Trust me, just do it. The next time you're allowed in a pub, sit with some friends. You're probably only allowed 3, but anyway, sit with some friends or something, and just look for lucky likeys. Brilliant fun. Love lucky likeys. So we're not lowering ourselves, guys. We're raising the bar. We're adding. Yeah, we lower. Yeah. Lucky like on holiday is brilliant. It's a brilliant family game. Lucky like is on holiday. You get your kids at it. Once they're of an age, fantastic fun. Because then people nudge each other and they do that thing where they go, "Oh, Dad, I've got one. Look over there, left," and they go, "Bungle." It's like, well, how do you even know bungle? You know what I mean?
But then they become that for the whole holiday, don't they?
Yeah. So as soon as you see them and you, yeah. So then every night you're at a restaurant, you nudge them and go, "Look, Bungle's in again. There's Bungle."
Brilliant.
Yeah.
We were in a restaurant, sorry to lower the thing. We were in a restaurant in Sorrento, a lovely place.
Lovely place.
And Jules said to me,
I was there in between lockdown this year.
Oliver said to me, over there, Ken Brown, the BBC Sport golf commentator.
Where did she pull that? That's a brilliant pull though. No, but the little kind of subliminal ones are the best pulls. Yeah, because anyone, I tell you now, do you know, has anyone seen the kids film Up? Right, you know the little old man with the glasses on? I swear to you, we were playing away at Sunderland and a live human version of the man in Up was there. And I said to the lads, right, but the staff went, "Oh my God, lads, I've got the best one ever, I was nudging him around the table because he was just literally at the bar there and I was nudging and I was going, "The fella out of Up." Oh my God, they were crying. It's the best lucky likey I've ever had. It literally was the cartoon man out of Up, but in a human form. It was bizarre. The lads went, "Oh my God, that is actually him." To the point when you like want to get a selfie, you know, when them subliminal ones, where he's at the bar, you just turn and go, "Dunk." Love that game. See, James, right? If you want to get to the depth of real reporting, go around the Premier League and ask all of the Premier League managers, do you play the lucky likey game? And if they give you a boring answer, we'll drive down and we'll slap them with a wet fish and say, that's for your boring answer about lucky likeys. Because everyone should play lucky likeys.
It's what people want to see. It's what the viewers really want to see, I think.
All day. It'd be much more fun than you asking me about whether we're going to play a 4-4-2. And they go, yeah, he is. Sean Dyche is going to play a 4-4-2.
Last holiday we had Daddy's evil best mate. So there was a guy, Evil Uncle Steve, they called him. It was my 2 boys.
Really?
Evil Uncle Steve. Yeah, brilliant.
Well, that's got a bit dark. We're only looking about lucky likeys. All right, we're not going too dark on it.
Alex, bring us back.
Right, come on, Alex. Let's bring us back to normality. Let's flatline us again. In this lockdown period, I'm already like this. Oh, God. Come on, Alex. Let's do your job properly and let's ask me a really inane question and I'll answer.
Sorry.
It's all right. It's your job. It's all right. And my job's to answer. So crack on.
Can I just ask about Joel and Bongo and just how he did his
there you go. Press conference over. How about that? Put that out to the viewers. Sean, can I just ask about Joel and Bongo? Don't do that, and I'll just deadpan it and go, no. And then it'll make a big story, and they'll go, wow, Sean Dyche refuses to answer a question about Joel and Bongo. Oh, I'm so bored. Sorry, you can tell I'm bored. Just bored. Right. Sorry, I'm back.
Yeah, can I just ask about how you thought he did and how long he's been around the group, really, please?
Yeah, Joel came in the end of last lockdown when we went back to action somewhat. He came back in with us and, he's a slow burner, Joel. We like what he's about. He's physically obviously strong and quick. And we like that because he has got a power about him. He's learning how to use it at the moment. You know, he's not quite aware of his own strength and his stature. Really good manner about him, really enjoying that, wants to learn, wants to be around the group. And I always like it because we've got a really good group and they always take to the young lads anyway. But Joel's, he's come in just under the radar a little bit. And when we put him on in games, he's been effective and we like that, and I think he's learning all the time. So fair play to him and the amount of work he's putting in with the younger group with Steve Stone, who's doing a good job there.
And I've asked you about this before. Have you found about the players shouting out. There was one moment in the game on Sunday when you looked like he was on a counter-attack and Alonso went down and shouted out. Do you think that's still having a big effect on the referee's decisions at the moment?
See, there's one who always has to start me off. So I'm not going to get on my soapbox today. I'm just going to answer yes. It's a bizarre state of affairs. I've mentioned it many times, many different reasons, but everyone seems to think it's normal and it should go on. I personally don't, as you know, along with many other things in the game currently, but at the end of the day, the powers that be think there's nothing wrong with the game and they assure me it's in very good order. So I'm just going to have to crack on.
And last serious one from me. There's been some reporting about the way the deal was financed to take over the club. Did that affect you in the transfer market, or were there funds available for you to use?
No, the business side of the club is not my domain. You know, the outgoing chairman and board, they did a deal with the ALK group to purchase the club. It's now down to them to run the club how they see fit. You know, it's not to me, the business side of things. As regards the market, we're trying to look for the right players. I think the new group and chairman are trying to get used to what the realities of the club are. It's all right purchasing one, but you've got to get used to the running of it, the people involved in it. And I think that's an important period now, for them to get their kind of understanding of what the club is. The financial side is up to them. I don't purchase football clubs, that's for sure. So they'll have agreed a deal with the outgoing chairman, Mike Garlick, and the board. They'll have known what the deal is. They'll have known how it's structured. And all parties agreed. So that's just a simple fact of it. My job is to keep focusing on the team and keep trying to win games. And that's what I intend to do.
Hello, Clarets fans. Phil Bird here. Make sure you subscribe to Burnley's official YouTube channel and turn on notifications, otherwise you might miss moments like this. Oh, what a goal! And Wood was there to finish it!
You're just spitting a little, look at us.
Enjoy the video and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Up the Clarets.